Welcome to the fifth episode of the Key Learning Points Show, where we share bite-sized insights from the personal development industry.
Yes, welcome everyone.
So today I thought we could look at three really interesting concepts that I think can make a huge difference in how we approach life and challenges and all of that.
Okay, sounds good.
So we've got mind power, which is all about taking control of our thoughts.
Right.
Then we've got labels, how these little words we attach to ourselves and others can have such a big impact.
Yeah.
And finally, we'll explore the idea of Hakuna Matata. Not just the fun phrase, but really embracing that mindset of letting go.
I like it. A good mix of practical techniques and big picture thinking.
Exactly. So let's start with mind power. When we talk about mind power, we're really talking about the ability to manage those negative thoughts that can creep in and sometimes even take over.
Yeah, I think we all experience those kind of like almost automatic negative reactions we have to things.
Exactly. But the cool thing is, there are actual techniques we can use to kind of cut those negative thoughts off at the source.
Oh, I'd love to hear about those. What are some of the techniques?
Okay, so one technique is to simply observe.
Observe.
Yeah, it's about becoming aware of your negative thoughts without getting all wrapped up in them.
Okay, so instead of like immediately believing the thought or getting stressed out by it, you just kind of notice it.
Exactly. Like imagine you're sitting by a river watching leaves float by.
Okay.
You see them, you acknowledge them, but you don't jump in the river and try to catch every single one. You just let them pass.
Oh, I like that. So your thoughts are kind of like those leaves just passing by.
Precisely.
Interesting.
Another technique is to exaggerate.
Exaggerate.
Yeah, this was kind of fun. So you take that negative thought and you blow it way out of proportion.
So like if I'm worried about giving a presentation, I imagine myself completely freezing up, forgetting everything, and then like the projector explodes.
Exactly. Make it a whole big, ridiculous disaster movie in your head.
Mm.
The point is, by making it so absurd, you can often see how irrational the original worry was.
Oh, that's funny. It's like you're making fun of the worry to take away its power.
Pretty much. Then there's the technique of turning it into a positive.
So you're basically reframing the negative thought.
Exactly. A simple example is to catch yourself when you use the word not and see if you can rephrase it in a positive way.
Got it. So instead of saying, I'm not going to get this done, you could say, I'm going to focus on making as much progress as I can.
You got it.
I see, I see.
Another powerful technique is to simply get distracted.
Distraction, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes when a negative thought gets stuck on repeat, the best thing you can do is shift your attention to something else entirely.
Yeah, like dive into a project, call a friend, listen to some music, anything to change the channel in your mind.
Exactly. You're basically hitting the reset button on your thoughts.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then the last technique for mind power is to use a physical anchor.
A physical anchor, what's that?
It's basically creating a little physical ritual that you link to a positive feeling or thought. So it could be something like tapping your wrist or pressing your thumb and forefinger together.
Oh, so when the negative thought comes up, I do my little physical thing, and that reminds me of the positive feeling.
Exactly. It's like a quick shortcut to shift your mental state.
Interesting. So it's like training your brain to associate that physical sensation with a more positive feeling.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And the important thing to remember with all of this is that just because you have a negative thought doesn't mean it's true or that you have to believe it.
Right. And you don't have to let those thoughts control you.
There's a really powerful idea that goes along with this. Thoughts can't hurt you without your permission.
That's a good one. You choose whether to give them power.
Exactly. It's like a choice.
Oh.
There's a metaphor I came across about this, comparing negative thoughts to a lit candle.
Okay.
So imagine that negative thought as a flame. If you hold your hand in it, it will burn. That's like dwelling on the thought, letting it consume you. But you can also choose to just blow the candle out.
Oh, I see. So letting go of the thought is like extinguishing the flame.
Exactly. You always have that choice.
Makes sense. I like that.
So those are some mind power techniques to experiment with. Now let's move on to our second concept, labels.
Labels are fascinating, aren't they? They're these little words we use to try to make sense of the world around us.
But they can be so misleading.
Exactly. Labels are often based on first impressions and really superficial observations.
They're like those road signs that point you in a general direction, but don't tell you the whole story of what lies ahead.
Yeah, they can be a starting point, but they definitely don't represent the full truth.
And here's the thing. Labels often say more about the person doing the labeling than the person being labeled.
Meaning they reveal more about the person's biases and assumptions than anything else.
Exactly. Like, we all make those snap judgments, but the key is to be aware of them and not let them define how we see people.
Right, to remember there's always so much more beneath the surface.
I was thinking about this, and I realized that some of the most amazing friendships I have started with a really awkward or not so great first impression.
Really?
If I'd relied on those initial impressions and labels, I would have totally missed out.
So basically, those labels would have robbed you of some great friendships.
Totally. And this is especially important in the online world, where we're constantly bombarded with information, and it's so easy to judge people based on limited snippets.
Yeah, because you're right. It's so easy to slap a label on someone based on a comment they made or a photo they posted.
And that can be really damaging. I mean, even if you don't say it out loud, just having that judgment in your head can color how you interact with someone.
And it could be completely wrong. You might be missing out on a really interesting person or perspective.
Absolutely. So being mindful of those labels, especially online, is so important.
It reminds me of that anecdote we came across about the person who was labeled junior executive. What was their approach to that?
Right. They were like the lowest rung on the corporate ladder. And instead of letting that label bother them, they had this funny idea. They suggested everyone replace their formal titles with the word monkey.
So, like junior monkey instead of junior executive.
Exactly. It was their way of poking fun at the whole hierarchy and taking away the power those labels had.
What a cool way to reframe things. It takes the seriousness out of it.
And the point is, they were much more than that junior executive label. They were a whole person with talents and ideas and experiences that had nothing to do with their job title.
And that really brings us to the heart of this whole idea of labels. No matter what labels we carry, whether they're about our job, our appearance, our background, we're all fundamentally human.
And I think the most important thing to remember is that at the end of the day, the only labels that really matter are the ones we give ourselves.
And the labels that come from the people who truly know us and care about us.
Exactly. Okay, ready for our final concept. Hakuna Matata.
Bring on the Hakuna Matata.
So beyond the catchy phrase, Hakuna Matata is really about letting go of worries and taking time to recharge.
Giving yourself permission to step back from the chaos, to declutter your mind and your space.
Exactly. And this could involve literally disconnecting from technology, stepping away from work, even taking a break from relationships.
Sometimes you just need to create that space to be with yourself and reconnect with what truly matters.
But people often say, oh, I can't afford to take a break. But the truth is, we can't afford not to.
Yeah. If you're constantly running on empty, you're not going to be your best self.
Exactly. And sometimes just making that decision, setting the intention to take a break, can open up possibilities.
It's like when you commit to something, you suddenly find the time.
Exactly. You prioritize it. And another really helpful way to approach Hakuna Matata is to zoom out and think about the bigger picture.
The bigger picture.
Yeah, like think about the vastness of the universe. And then think about how small our individual problems are in comparison.
Oh, I see. It helps put things into perspective.
Exactly. It can help you realize that maybe those worries aren't as huge and overwhelming as they feel.
Like a cosmic reality check.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And another interesting idea related to this is to pay attention to how often we use possessive pronouns like my,
Okay.
like my job, my problems, my responsibilities.
Yeah, we do use those a lot.
But by focusing so much on my, we can become overly attached and lose sight of the bigger picture.
So it's about detaching a bit from those things we cling to so tightly.
Exactly. It can help you feel lighter, less burdened.
Interesting.
Another really helpful tip is to look back at past challenges and see how you've overcome them.
Like to draw strength from those past experiences.
Yeah. Think about things you were stressed about 5 years ago. Chances are most of them seem pretty insignificant now.
So you're basically using those past experiences to remind yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way.
Exactly. You've got this. And the key takeaway here is that even as we go through all these ups and downs in life, our core self remains constant.
There's a part of you that's always there no matter what challenges you face.
That's so reassuring. And finally, with this whole Hakuna Matata approach, remember to seek out joy.
Don't get so caught up in the worries that you forget to enjoy the present moment.
Exactly. Sometimes the best way to find solutions to problems is to shift your focus to things that bring you joy and uplift your spirits.
Because when you feel good, you think more clearly and you're more open to new possibilities.
Thank you for tuning in. Till next time at the Key Learning Points Show.
Think about this. What's one small thing you can do today to bring a little more Hakuna Matata into your life?